Hello, greetings YouTube. Welcome back to another session. I'm your host, John Dorsey of Dorsey's Resource. First, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research regarding this information being discussed. This is not to be construed as legal advice. If you need to seek a professional lawyer, certified public accountant, financial consultant, psychiatrist, or whomever, please do so at your own leisure. Dorsey's Resource is not liable for any misuse of this information. These are simply my opinions being stated. With that being said, I want to welcome you all for joining me. It's been a while since I've done a video. I just want to give you guys a quick update. Some of the other videos that I did, I had to remove. Actually, I didn't have to, but I did voluntarily because there was like a discrepancy with my job, my employer. I'm still on a 9 to 5 plantation. I say that as a figure of speech, so please take no offense to that. But I just decided that I'm going to just take a different approach and I'm going to redo some of the videos I've already done. And I was already looking at venturing into a different topic. With the topic of this video, without further ado, I wanted to touch on it's going to be dealing with the subject of the anti-Trump protest. And I came across a video I saw recently, which was kind of rare. I saw a sister do a video and I was actually pretty surprised with the amount of black women who supported Hillary. I noticed in this most polarizing campaign against Trump. And her YouTube channel is Kiki Green. I just came across, and she was saying some uh, interesting views. I thought whether it didn't matter whether she was Democrat or Republican, I felt she was speaking some real stuff, some truth to power, and I wanted to speak to that. I felt like Trump was the better candidate overall, in my opinion. I'll go into that later. As far as a lot of minorities of black people felt like Hillary was the lesser of the two evils, and I don't know how they saw that when she was being investigated by the FBI on 2 different occasions, even during her campaign. And I've never seen anything like this before as long as I've been following presidential elections. And I'm not saying I'm an old person, but I'm 37 years old, so I've been around the block. I've lived almost 4 decades now, so I have to have learned something by now. But I wanted to touch on, I think these anti-Trump protests, a lot of people are unaware are being funded by a guy by the name of George Soros through a group called Open Society Foundation. If you all are not familiar, please look up Open Society Foundation. My aunt mentioned on Facebook, she asked me, well, where's any reliable evidence at? And I said, well, the proof is in the pudding. I actually have a friend who, his relative, I won't go into the details, actually received money from that organization. And there's some other information I have. And he's not the only person that I know that what Open Society Foundation does, to kind of give you guys an idea. It's owned and was started by George Soros many years ago. Is he uses this organization for manipulative purposes. He was responsible some years back for funding that Occupy Wall Street, if you remember those protests that broke out back in 2011. Because actually my cousin and my aunt down in Cleveland, Ohio, actually called me up, and I was at work at the time, and actually asked me what was going on with all these different protests that broke out. In some cities they were really big, but I noticed they were breaking out around in different major cities, even my home city, Cleveland. They were like downtown, but it didn't get super big. But in some cities it was really large. That was also funded by George Soros. And when I found out that the law enforcement around the country or certain parts are aware of who he is, I'm not sure if there's going to be any charges filed or pressed. I did see a video done by Dabu7 where he showed that George Soros and these protesters were in violation of Title 18 of the United States codes, and that's a very serious law. But I don't want to pontificate. I want to stay on the subject regarding these anti-Trump protests. I think that that this is definitely a job by the liberals and basically the people, the powers that be, who control both parties. But I think the Republican Party is actually the better party overall. I don't think it's ever been perfect. They've had their issues, but I think in comparison to the liberals, the leftist party, where they were pandering for votes. They were threatening people basically uh, within the black community. I witnessed this and saw this firsthand, no lie, to basically vote for Hillary. And they were shunning people who voted for Trump. And I don't condone the instances of Trump supporters, the rare instances there have been with white supremacists or nationalists coming out, rubbing it in people's faces since Trump won, and all of the basically the bullying that's going on, But I think he won the election fair and square. But I think that this is not a good sign that these protests are breaking out. I think it's manufactured and it's controlled, to be honest with you. And there is credible evidence, as I mentioned, if you do your research and look up George Soros' organization, Open Society Foundation, that has connections with donating money to Move.org and other organizations and other high-profile people as well. He's not the only one, but he is a main player along with the globalists. If you are aware of the Illuminati, he is definitely an Illuminati, a member, or from, if you use it as an umbrella term, he's a billionaire. He was also, what I suggest is everyone do their own research on George Soros. I won't go into the details, but I've definitely done my own research, and I felt like it's really kind of hypocritical for the left, for the liberals. I've never seen anything like this before. I remember when I voted during the election with President Al Gore when they rigged the election on behalf of President Bush, but I think that was much less in comparison to what's going on now. There was discontent back then with the Black Caucus, but there wasn't riots and protests that broke out where people were getting hurt or injured. I even heard a person being transported in the ambulance ended up dying at the hospital because the ambulance had to go around the protest and it took them like 45 minutes to get to the hospital. So somebody actually died as a result of that. What I think is very hypocritical, when I discovered the fact, I'm going to go into the details why I feel that Hillary Clinton was really the worst of the two evils in comparison to Donald Trump. And here's the reasons why. I took some notes. Is she was investigated by the FBI twice, and about the last part during her campaign a week prior to the investigation. On top of that, the New York Police Department, NYPD, found a laptop from Anthony Weiner, where Hillary Clinton was very close friends to his wife, Huma Abedin, where they found out Hillary Clinton had links to a child satanic pedophile ring. And then I'm not the only person that found this out. As crazy as it may sound, there's major mainstream media outlets that tried to cover this up. It still got out, still got leaked out. The NYPD, from what I heard, was supposed to release a press conference, and the Justice Department actually threatened them not to release this. This is very credible information. I wouldn't make this up. I did do the research, and I do follow alternative media sites. And contrary to popular belief, they're not all fake. I'll probably have to do another separate video about the fake news. That what they're trying to do is cover up to keep the general public from learning real information. I don't necessarily co-sign what all the alternative media says when they interject their own personal feelings or opinions, but I look at the evidence. And she openly stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. This is another thing that Hillary Clinton also did. And this was admitted by mainstream outlets that actually supported Hillary Clinton during her whole campaign that was totally biased against Donald Trump. I thought there were, in corporate America, there's supposed to be fairness. You're supposed to be impartial, even within the justice system. And that also woke a lot of people up and showed people, something fishy's going on with this election. Is just one-sided, whether you like Trump or not, but this is wrong, where she openly stole the nomination, and Bernie Sanders' camp was going to sue. But I heard that privately, and there is credible information privately, that Bernie Sanders was paid off, because I remember he was adamant when he first met with Obama that he did not want to endorse Hillary. And I do remember that some years back when Obama was running for president against Hillary Clinton, Hillary Clinton and former Governor Jennifer Granholm both colluded to keep President Obama's name and John Edwards' name off the ballot back then, and they were trying to accuse Trump of coming up with the whole birther thing, but that was actually Hillary Clinton. I found out her and John McCain's campaign paid a private investigator by the name of Wayne Madsen, who used to work for the National Security Agency, who had credible evidence on Barack Obama to actually get dirt and evidence. So she was the one that actually started the birther argument. I've followed this heavily privately, but since a lot of people don't follow this type of information, that's why they don't know. But that's actually where the source derives from. It's very credible information. Another thing, when Hillary openly stole the nomination from Bernie, which was admitted by mainstream outlets, this is why Debbie Wasserman Schultz was fired, who she was the head of the DNC as far as I guess doing certain things amongst the party or whatever, and she was replaced by Donna Brazile, and Donna Brazile was later fired by CNN for leaking debate questions to Hillary Clinton. Now, there's people that encourage people to go out there and vote and support your presidential candidate, but I see with all this nonsense and rigging going on, that this causes people to lose trust and faith within the establishment, within the system, with all this corruption going on. So these are just a few things that I'm mentioning. And with the latest thing where I hear they're trying to take the Electoral College away, and Trump won in a landslide. I saw the results, even though some states they didn't show tally. He did win Michigan, all the majority of the precincts, actually all of them 100% reported it was still close. But there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get answered, that people don't pay attention to. Like after the election night, they just give you, a projected winner. It's really the first person that reaches 270 electoral votes is the one that wins the candidate. But they still have to finish tallying up all of the states afterwards, and people didn't pay attention to that. And I just wanted to kind of interject my thoughts, and I think this is basically sabotaged by a man by the name of George Soros and other globalists connected to the Illuminati who want to see Hillary Clinton, or wanted to see her, or they were her preferable candidate by choice. I think it was really being rigged, but Trump did an amazing thing, his campaign and all the supporters out there that actually assisted in getting him into office. Because I heard Hillary, well, I shouldn't say heard, I saw the actual footage that President Putin, Hillary was going to start World War III. They were already receiving word. So by Trump getting in office, that saved us literally from World War III. I mean, seriously, I saw his citizens over there where they were evacuating. Because they pay attention to other countries' leaders getting in office because it can affect their country. People don't look at things on a global scale, like when it comes to foreign policy and international business and how countries interact with other world leaders and things of that sort. But I really didn't want this video to get that long, but I just wanted to kind of provide some credible evidence and information. If you did take the time to watch this video, I want to thank you. Don't forget to please rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm your host, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. Take care.